Hey! I don't know if we're doing jazz hands, but it's happening apparently. Hello, everybody.
We were clapping.
We'll get there. Anyway, hi. Welcome to the Trappist Transfer, an actual play podcast using the Eclipse Phase RPG set in a fictional sci-fi future of Earth and humankind. I'm Will Blackmore, and I will be your game master, weaving a web of intrigue for our players, and hopefully myself as well. We'll see how it goes. To my left, the empty chair will be Ashley Bradley in a little bit, who'll be joining us partway through the evening, playing Truthseeker. Mark Jondal playing Comms 3. Eddie playing Caster. And Connor Crumley playing Penelope Gray.
Hey.
Question mark.
Hmm?
We'll
What happened?
We'll see.
Foreshadowing.
Dot.
For shame.
Oh, by the way, your character is dead.
Wait, what?
No.
Mm.
I mean, nobody actually dies unless you're starting to erase things.
I'm sorry.
What is death,
What about
really?
What happened to
I don't expect Comms 3 to understand.
I mean, maybe there's some bacteria left that didn't get cleaned.
Well,
A few tardigrades
actually,
here
yeah,
and there.
You weren't there for a couple things. So, you've got to be caught up.
Oh, did the whole
but-
planet actually explode?
We'll see.
Let's
Hold
get
on.
into it.
Calm down. So, couple things first. One, we've got a new fancy hard copy book that, shout out to Bill, I'm real excited. Also, just smells so good.
It feels good too. It's
my God.
like
I put
the
my nose right in
weight.
it.
Yeah, it's beefy too.
It's a nice
'Cause
book.
I feel like I could get some gains while we're playing, while I'm lifting the book and going from there. So I'm pretty jazzed. And a shout out to the book. We've homebrewed a lot of our system. The system is theirs. We've homebrewed a lot of the background and elements, but there are some things that we share. And there's a piece that I found that I would actually like to read to kind of set the tone a little bit. That is still very appropriate for us, even though in the book they also lost the Earth, although for different reasons. But I wanted to read this piece out because I think it is relevant to ours. Like, we're still going through the process. I mean, this is still fresh and new, but I thought you'd appreciate. The fall of Earth was a paradigm shift for transhumanity. Virtually everyone lost friends and family. Most lost their own lives, but were restored off-world. Or, in this case, the hold. Homes, pets, careers, and personal effects were gone in a flash of dust. Entire governments, cultures, and languages were extinct. Not only did people need to restart from scratch, many had to learn how to live their new lives in new morphs, new gravities, new virtual conditions, and environments basically that were completely alien to them. Some have been more than willing to put Earth behind them, going so far as to filter all mentions out of their feeds. The pain is too great, the memories too horrific. This is especially true for those who suffered trauma in their last days on Earth, even more so for people whose lives on Earth had been a struggle to begin with, due to wars, climate crisis, personal relationships. For some, processing the fall requires more than just treating their PTSD. These transhumans treat the change as the open door it is, a chance at new possibilities. This can mean diving headfirst into exploring new identities, new personalities, new sexualities, new morphs. For the masses of refugees that become the scum swarms, rude, I don't think we'll call them that. So, leave it up to you.
It's their word for themselves.
Was it like stowaways? The scum stowaways.
Yeah.
This was an embrace of experimentation, an opportunity to experience new lifestyles and push the limits of hedonism.
Yeah.
I like where this is going. When you've barely survived an apocalypse and extinction is knocking, you may as well live your life to the fullest. There's no point in holding on to the past because it could all end at any moment.
I've been kind of feeling like that lately.
Yeah, that's legit.
Shout out to world fires, coronavirus, was it COVID-19?
Yeah.
Serious? They actually have a name for it now?
Just remember, always chase your coronavirus with Lyme disease.
Please call it. It's the COVID-15?
19.
COVID-19.
That's what I said, right?
Yeah.
Did I say that?
I haven't slept in 2 days.
Okay, gotcha.
It was literally in one ear and out the
I
other.
blacked out for 30 seconds. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See, it was the what was it? The novel coronavirus for a while, and then now is the COVID.
Yeah.
It's not Corvid because that's
It's COVID.
COVID.
Yeah.
Coronavirus. But everyone's like, coronavirus. I'm like, there are a lot of viruses that
SARS
are
was Corona,
coronavirus.
MERS Corona.
The common rhinovirus is
The
coronavirus.
Wuhan?
Wuhan virus ain't not to fuck with.
36 chambers of virus.
Not to minimize, this is our own
Bigger
humor to
story.
help process the potential things. But no, shout out, speaking of two, hey, I think it's good to maybe give credit to other podcasts as due. This podcast, Will Kill You, is one of my favorites. They do, every episode is on a different infectious disease. And they did a really great one at the beginning of February on coronavirus before it had its name. And it's fascinating. And they're like, A, not experts. B, it's changing literally hour to hour. So, but they feel pretty good about it. I mean, they're basically like, really, we should be talking about the influenza, which is just generally far worse.
Alternatively,
people so much worse.
So, viewers, please wash your hands. That's what we take away from this. Wash your hands. And also what I've learned is please occasionally wash your cell phones.
Yes. Also, it's
I wash
interesting
my cell
because
phone all the
across the board,
Mhm.
when all different kinds of experts talk about this, they do literally say that one of your best methods of protection is to wash your hands, don't touch your face.
Yep.
Like, that's it. Like, you in an airport, fine. Wash your hands, don't touch your face. Like,
Yeah,
have to deal with the public, like, whatever it
If you
is.
stay
The
2
new-
meters away from people, that helps with the droplet pieces.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I'm just saying, like, educate yourselves. Corona or the COVID-19 is scary just because it seems to be moving very quickly, but it doesn't seem to be like as bad as some things are. I am just
Right.
mostly terrified that we don't have a pandemic team in the government
a
anymore.
response team.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
that's
there's
a little-
actually an interesting Netflix documentary called Pandemic that it does talk a lot about different stuff, but what it keeps coming back to is the real fight has to do with the way that our societies and like community culture is built, and
Mhm.
like that is what we are often fighting against. Like people going when they have symptoms, people going home when they have symptoms and are at work.
Mhm.
Like,
People who can't afford another attendance point at work, so they
Yeah.
go to work and cough
and
up.
they or
our
they
system
work
is
with food.
terrible.
Yeah.
Not being racist about it.
Yeah, that
Yes.
too.
Please.
So all that aside, I'm hopeful for 2020, whether it'll bring the plague on the world that we need to simplify our carbon footprint. It's not sadness to all those who suffer for this. We're making light for me personally, to feel better about the process. Shout out to people though who are going through it, and all the healthcare workers who are having to deal with it. Thank you.
I laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah, mostly yeah. There's a lot of that. But don't worry, Mike Pence is on it. It'd be great.
It's cool. I'm just dead inside. So
Also in the game. So shout out on sci-fi news real fast. Actually, this is more just sci news, and there's no fiction involved in that. One, if you are listening to us live, I give you full permission to step outside for like 5 minutes. Go look towards sunset and check out the crescent moon and Venus. It's super
oh
pretty.
my god, it's so
Oh,
good.
Can you
It's
please send back
amazing.
pictures?
Yeah, please do. Shout out. Secondly, though, have you all heard about Betelgeuse?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Betelgeuse. Okay, we're good. So it is the shoulder of Orion from our perspective, right? It is the red giant star that is up there. So it is always been a weird star. It's a bit of a variable. So it's a huge star. We think it's something like 20 times the mass of our sun. And so it is in the red giant phase, which is like towards the end of its lifetime, and meaning a million years. 10,000 years astronomy. But I mean, much faster than our own star, right? So in the last few weeks to months, it has been dimming radically. And what I have found too is that Betelgeuse is large enough and close-ish enough. When I say large, if it was the center of our solar system, let me put it this way: the Pollux would be inside of it right now. It would encompass Mars's orbit, basically. But we can actually, from this distance, start to resolve its surface a little bit. Most stars we can't. They're too far away. They're a tiny little speck. But this, we see that it has changed shape, which I think really means it's got dark patches like giant sunspots.
Oh no!
Related back to the story. Check it out. It's on the surface there. And so this is likely some level of instability that may be leading up to a supernova. Well, it is. Eventually, in a long enough timeline, it will lead to a supernova. Whether it's happening soon or not is questionable, but I would love to see a supernova in my lifetime.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
voting for
definitely
it
on
in
my
our
bucket list.
lifetime.
I was gonna say like at the end of right at the end of your lifetime. I mean,
Either.
Within the next 5 years.
Which might be, depending on the world's going, the end of my lifetime. We'll see how it goes. But either way, I would be sad to see a little chunk of Orion. But at the same time, supernovas don't go like, pop, it's gone. It'll be a whole shebang for our entire lifetime, and we'll get to watch it. So
I'm totally taking that time off work.
yeah, no, absolutely.
The rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm like,
We'll
that's
go
a,
put a blanket out.
that's a lot
You know,
of
like a
decades.
Sakura festival. We'll just like get some drinks and some snacks.
and cheers to the giant exploding beast that's in the sky.
Yeah.
I like it.
Gross
So all that
with every
aside,
birthday.
anyway, I'm sure you come here listening for our random chats, our good sci-fi, our good science knowledge. I'll keep bringing that to you, but let's dive into this. We'll see when Ashley shows up. It'll be fun. They're dead too now. Sorry, they're just not here, so we'll figure it out. All right, so minor recap for reasons, because you'll see. Like, I'm not going to give you the full beast. But where we left off, you had just done for you two in the room. You had just done a maneuver. You had rounded the sun. You had successfully captured that mining vessel. That was calling for aid and most likely liquefied the meat suits on the vessel in the capture process, going from accelerating very quickly to the speed of the Pollux.
Oh yeah, that's
but
liquid.
We're able to retain at least the wreckage that is the vessel now too, and more importantly, all of the mineral resources and metal resources that are on it.
Bioresources. Liquid bodies are still good for things.
You can grab a straw.
It's biomass. We put it into the recyclers.
Yeah. Good job. I'm real proud of all of you. And you've got...
What? We have limited resources.
No, absolutely accurate. On that note, well, I'll leave it up to you in a moment. But you've also got 100 more consciousnesses on their stacks, that except for one who could not put themselves into the gel to save themselves. They had to sort of stay behind to pilot things appropriately.
Yes.
And so their stack is non-retrievable. Real death occurred.
Oh.
Real death has occurred.
Yeah, that's right.
Punishable by law.
That person was just opposed to resleeving anyway. So that happened. But right about that same time, Charlie Maines, the pilot, noticed that there were a few different points of pressure drops along the ship, perhaps 2 or 3, that seemed to be restoring themselves. What I think Caster, maybe you were the one in communication. Can't remember exactly. Maybe it's Truth Seeker. Somebody was in communication with Penelope at the time. And
I feel like it might have been me.
I think it might
Yeah,
have been.
but weren't we all sort of in communication with each other
Yeah,
too?
everybody's been
Yeah.
communicating.
Yeah.
Everybody's communicating. But noticed that Penelope happened to be very close to one of the pressure drops, and when you tried to raise them, they didn't respond. All you heard was static, which is a bit unusual.
And Penelope, she definitely doesn't talk to True Seeker if she doesn't have to. Because
Ooh, throwing shade. I like it.
True Seeker is a sycophant weirdo, so
Weirdos, plural. Hold on.
weirdos, yeah. And sycophant's the wrong word,
Sorry,
but
man.
Also,
It's
I'm not
2020.
convinced that Penelope ever stops throwing shade. Is this an overstep?
what is shade?
Right. Does the creator of Shade know that it's shade? Like,
I mean,
It
it's
feels like a real deep philosophical question. Like, if nobody's in the forest, it's like to hear the tree kind of thing.
also it's only shade until it's said out loud, and Penelope is vocal.
Then it's just darkness. Or
No, then it's just a really good read.
terribleness.
Because if I tell you you're ugly, that's just a read. If I don't have to tell you you're ugly because I hand you some new makeup,
Noted. Passive aggressive sort.
yeah.
yeah, that's shade.
All right, into the game. Connor, you're sort of
dead?
MIA right now.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. What are y'all doing? We're gonna say that Truth Seeker is off chronicling things. They are at the bay, docking bay area where they're like currently pulling in the wreckage of, I forget the name of the ship that we came up with, but it was cool. Man, I am not good with names in the last few weeks. I'm scatterbrained right now. So
Write them down.
no, I had it written down. It's not.
I mean, I probably should have
Oh,
written
the
it.
Elon. That's right, the Elon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I forgot
Yeah, I
it.
did write it down. Look, it's literally right here. You should, but we were full of jokes at that point.
All right. Cool. So poor Elon got liquefied and turned into resources.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's fine. I'm cool with this. So Caster and Comms 3. What are y'all doing right now?
What were we doing?
Well, I know that Castor was down near the hold to kind of like ease in the stuff and the ship, as well as like we had to like, it was like all the tension and stuff, right? Like, here we're gonna grapple this thing while we move in super fast.
Mhm.
So, you know, that could go sideways real fast. So I was down there just,
Pear-shaped.
if one will.
So,
It's a fubar.
but did we get? I just can't remember where we ended at all. Like, did we end in the middle of something, or is it all fairly resolved?
I think that part was resolved. Like
I
got
think
the
it was just the unresolved thing is what happened to Penelope. Like we pinged you and nothing came back.
I would say that is fairly
So
accurate.
I would guess.
I won't answer your question of is everything resolved or not, but I'll
No.
say that's the
Well,
current thought process.
no. Just give me an entry point. Is what I'm
Penelope.
saying. Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking
With
for
consent.
like did we stop on a cliffhanger? Like,
Yes, that would be the cliffhanger. Was that we are?
but I'm not in the
uncertain
middle
what
of
is-
something right now.
I do not believe so.
Okay,
You are uncertain what has happened to Penelope.
then I'm going to go find out what happened to Penelope.
Okay, you're going to go to their last location, last known location.
Yes.
Okay. How are you going to get there? You're kind of a ways away from there right now. It's sort of like on the other end of the ship, so that's like a few kilometers away. It's a good
What are my
chunk.
choices then?
I mean, you're still in maintenance spot or new maintenance spot 2.0.
Mhm.
Better, faster, stronger. Just same, just shinier. So, I mean, you could go there on foot for lack of a better term. Although you could utilize maintenance tunnels and other bits like that the bots are kind of designed for. So you could get there within. You know, it's gonna take a bit of time, but
Couldn't Comms 3 also just jump into the network and get a new bot on that side of the ship?
it's not as easy as you think to just transfer consciousness like that. I would say that would be a possibility, but you were aware that it would be almost the same amount of time, if not more, to potentially transfer yourself like that. You haven't done so through a network system. You've only done hard ports. And so, you know, it's still an unknown recipe of what it is that you're transferring currently. You know, you don't necessarily, I would say you don't necessarily want to risk data loss.
Well, nor do I want to tax the already taxed systems when we still have like the sun pointed at us like a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to stay as like it's judicious use of resources is important to Comms 3. So Comms 3 is going to go through the maintenance tunnels.
Sounds good. You both are sort of jacked into the system at this point. You more so just because of your body, right? The way that you kind of connect the things. Do a quick research roll for me.
No, I failed and I got a double number. My target was 60. I got a 77.
Oh shit.
Critical fail.
Yep.
You get stuck?
No, I mean it's a fail that's relevant to okay.
Maybe my brain got stuck on something.
Well, I just was thinking that maybe you thought you knew the course and had mapped it out, but you turned into the wrong tunnel and it's too small for you. You get stuck.
Other things were happening. So you know, if it was like a survival piece, which I might have you make a roll here in a minute for, then something like that would happen, right? But with this, since this was like a research, this is something else going on. This is your connection to the network. So Comms 3 is a little perplexed as your HUD sort of malfunctions. Like it freezes. Like where the scrolling information you'd be used to moving across your screen is just frozen at the last data point. Like environmental, light levels, temperature, scrolling feeds of information from the net. You still have an awareness of your ad hoc network and you communicate and stuff. But like you're oddly incoming information seems to just be a little jagged right now and hard. Like it seems like you'll untangle it, but it'll take some time. It's like you set like a background subroutine kind of working to clear up the cache, whatever seems to be issue, you're rebooting
Okay.
it.
Can that be mitigated by my digital speed?
That will allow you to get it fixed by the time you get to where Penelope is, but it's going to take some time.
Okay.
Like,
I can do it. I can whistle as I work.
Yeah, it would take a human a lot longer to do what you're having to do now. Like your system is just cocked up right now.
Gotcha.
All right, so you're on your way there. Castor, what are you up to?
I would imagine that Castor is somewhere near where we brought in the ship, or have we brought the ship into is it just tethered to us, the ship?
Yeah,
The
so Penelope and a couple of the others made a amazing nano fiber weave.
Yeah. Super cute.
Cable, like very much so, that was able to stretch and under the strain
Mm-hmm.
to kind of accelerate it up to yours. So basically imagine it like a fishing ship dragging a net, right? And it's like finally captured the piece, and so like everything is in like a scrap heap jumble dragging behind the ship right now, tethered off from the back end, right? Where you're at currently, which is also why it's taking you a while, because you're both like having to make it like toward basically the front of the ship, which is kind of where Penelope was. And so you're dragging off the back hold a second. And so yeah, like it's like a slow reel because they're not wanting to put too much additional tension on the line. So it's going to take some time, but like couple hours, to kind of do it properly.
Okay. I feel like Castor would stay there to sort of supervise that stuff. But definitely Castor is concerned by Penelope's silence. I feel like Castor might also, I don't know, would it be like if Castor wanted, because we're unable to communicate with the Pollux right now or see sort of like I don't have a HUD of any kind. Would I check in with Charlie to ask how the rest of the ship is?
Yep.
Or so
Charlie's still tied into your communication.
Cool. I mean, I figured, but yeah. So Castor would be basically checking in, about those potential stress points on the ship and like what's going on with the ship as a whole.
What do you mean by stress points?
Like wherever we had trouble when we were getting the ship or the other ship in tow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like
so
anything
where the cables were attached.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you didn't specify when you described it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like stuff is stressed out here and there, so.
Cool. So I'm gonna put a pause on that and just respond to Connor, see what happens, and I'll get back to you.
So is Pollux burning engines?
Currently, no. While they are dragging in the ship,
Okay.
and in fact, I'm just gonna leave it at that. You don't get any more explanations because this is meta knowledge for you at the moment, right?
I guess I'm just wondering. So, also, if we tethered and captured Elon, are we now billowing around a new center of gravity?
No. The way they worked it out was sort of like cutting the engines, capture, so it's along the longitudinal axis of the ship.
Okay,
and
cool.
So
Sweet.
There was sort of like a transfer and like a jolt as you added new mass.
So
that's about it.
Sticky still, but moving in the same direction.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Which is where one person got liquefied. Because their stack couldn't be put.
Yeah.
All bodies were liquefied.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Electronics were,
Yeah.
99 were okay.
But often in space, if you if you tether another moving body, you end up billowing. So that's what I
Oh, for
wanted-
sure.
That's what I wanted to ask. I just wanted to see where the physics were.
No worries. Also considering that the Pollux is a significant mass, wouldn't have been that much of a problem,
Okay.
comparatively speaking. Like compared to like what you picked up, which was like as you're checking in with Charlie,
Mm-hmm.
Charlie was able to get some sort of like last minute telemetry data from not just from, I mean literally just like being tied into the ship, sort of like, you know, through a neural connection, and being the ship to a certain extent. There's like a level of like of awareness of sensors, and Charlie's communicating to you in your ear, like in sort of a little more. You're used to this because you were with Charlie when he went in for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
from your perspective. But it's sort of like this distant voice, kind of like you're playing video games and mom was calling you to dinner. And you're like, yeah,
Yeah, whatever.
that's good. Okay, I'm glad everybody got that. So.
Because none of us played video games.
Yeah, no.
One more question, scale wise, like Pollux, Elon kind of thing.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. I like
Cool.
that. Basically Charlie like starts giving you a little bit of data from that, being like, okay, from the calculations and the additional like drag that we picked up and the change in our momentum, it's looking like this thing has several kilotons of metals on board, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is
Resources, yeah.
materials that you will need. Other than that, he's like, stress points looks like they held well. There's definitely like some strain, but it seems like Penelope's lines did the proper job and reduced the impulse enough to make sure that we didn't have a jarring impact as much as possible. So the Pollux has held up well.
Cool. What can you tell me about Penelope's last known location? Because we're not getting anything from her.
He has as much information as you do in terms of like sends you like onto like your little handheld you have now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sends you sort of like an update of the little profile of the ship, a little blinky dot, a cute little bit, and that's the same thing you had before. You're like,
Right.
This is the last known location, but there's no, it seems to be no,
There's no
further signal.
breach or anything wrong with that part of the ship, or
He zooms in on a spot and shows you like this compartment, right? There's some bulkheads closed down momentarily, responding to a sudden pressure drop.
mm-hmm.
But it seems like that the area is restored. There's currently no one in that region, although Penelope was next to that.
Mm-hmm.
But so we don't know. Like it seems like some crews are heading out to assess any potential damage. It'll take them some time to get there. There's nobody near those regions at the moment.
Cool. Is there anywhere I am needed? Otherwise, I'm gonna head out there too.
Charlie could just thinks like, well,
No, Mom, get out of here.
I like to, and you hear his voice change, and it kind of goes back to that deferential, but also kind of like awestruck kind of sound that he's sort of had with you a little bit. He's like, well, I think you'll probably just know best, and you're really, I'm not gonna do the awesome accent Bill does.
Right.
But it's just, I think, wherever you think you're needed is probably the place you're needed.
All right.
I've got things locked down on the ship side. We are on good trajectory to go extrasolar. We are at this rate and this speed in a day or so we'll be out of the solar system.
Cool.
We're hauling pretty fast, at least outside of the planetary system, not the extended solar system. Like we still have to pass through the transit-tuning objects, and it'll take a few more days for us to head out. Significantly, actually, more than just a few days, like quite a while before we pass out like the Oort cloud. So, but outside of the planets, yeah, we'll be heading out that way. We're heading in the direction of come on, brain.
Trappist.
Yes, but there's the specific constellation that it's in. Pretty sure it's Aquarius, actually. It's in the constellation of Aquarius. In
I
the
believe you said
direction
that.
of the constellation of Aquarius. Sounds
I
good.
believe you have said that in the past.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I remember thinking this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, and that's my mnemonic device.
It's kind of nestled in between Aquarius and Pisces, actually. So it's kind of great.
I have another music fun coming up.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Yeah.
please hold it in.
I will as long as I can.
Great.
And I forget, is Aquarius out of the plane of the ecliptic?
Nope. I mean, by the
Okay.
definition, so all of the zodiacal constellations,
Yeah.
Aquarius, Capricorn, whatnot, are on the ecliptic. So we're sort of like in the line
Okay.
of the planet, planetary system, which is the equatorial system of the sun as well. So we're kind of like heading off along, which is why also you didn't have to do any crazy maneuvers around the sun, since you were already in that plane. You're angled up a little bit, but like a few degrees, nothing major.
Nothing that's going to send us off.
The downside is that is also the location of where that giant sunspot is, as it's kind of coming back around the sun.
A
towards you.
sun gun, if you will.
A sun gun.
So basically, Castor lets Charlie go on for a little bit before they're like, okay, great. I totally trust you to pilot the ship and to keep me informed of anything out of the ordinary, even if it's just ordinary, I want to know about it. And just keep tabs on us.
You gotta. I wish I could do accents better. It's like you might have to be a little more specific than that because I have a lot of data I could send your way. Ordinary data, it's just.
Have I ever known you to not send data when I have said no?
Don't get me wrong. I think you can do a lot, but in this state, I'm. All of this data is intuitive to me, in that it is like my body is the ship, and so it is. In fact, it's difficult for me to put it back into human terms easily, and so sending you all of that data would be like sending you an encyclopedia and expecting you to sort of turn to the right page about a thing. So I don't know what you're looking for in particular.
Castor has to pause and be like, Fine. I don't have access to Pollux. I don't have a HUD. So yeah, that doesn't really make a lot of sense at the moment.
It'd be like being part of the worst group chat where you're just getting ding.
I mean,
ding,
the
ding,
worst for who?
Ding, ding. Well,
Like-
touche. If you were just like, I don't want to have to keep checking this every 15 seconds.
No, I understand. If I had the full HUD display, like if I just had it in my view, that's what Castor would be doing
Yeah.
anyways.
You pause to go to the bathroom for a moment. You come back.
Cool.
You have 70,000 unread messages.
Right. Oh, am I playing
Thanks,
WoW? Gotta scroll back. Oh yeah, scroll back and raid chat. Anyways, okay. I get where you're coming from.
Cool.
Just don't get too lost in the Pollux because we're still gonna need you, and I'm gonna check back in.
Okay. I'm at the moment not a lot for me to do. I will spend my extra energy feeling out for anything out of the ordinary because right now with the engines cut, there's not a lot of maneuvering I need to do. But the moment
Perfect.
we get the ship in and locked down and the material's good to go, I've got to cut the engines back on.
Cool.
Comes 3. Make a survival check. To, as you're making your way, to make sure you've got the proper, since suddenly your HUD seems to be malfunctioning in terms of your data, just to make sure that you're heading the proper direction. Do you have survival? Or
No, I'm just wondering if there's anything that would work in absence of that.
I am open to arguments.
Because I think that like between like my infosec and interface and my programming, I feel like I should be able to like leech information from various sources.
Is there no survival skill at all in the system?
No, there is. It's on the bottom. So
yeah, it should be an actual.
I see that.
Pretty sure. I'm like, because I've got NPCs with it, so I'm pretty sure it exists.
I mean, if you want me to do a survival check, I'm almost guarantee you will fail. But...
I should have a higher one. Than that.
I mean, I'm kind of due, but I mean, I'm open to you making an argument if you want something else.
Actually, I hit my target number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, there you go. So oddly enough for you, having less information coming in than you are used to with your like hyper level of thought process actually allows you to kind of focus on the task at hand. Like there's a level of like, you know, your ADD is focused, your AI ADD, right? It's like, oh, okay. And you suddenly like you're picking up environmental cues that you would have ignored before because like, hard copy data. It's just like, but now you're really just like arrows like this way to the such and such. You're like, oh, okay, I guess this is what how regular people operate.
Right.
And so, yeah, you make it just fine. It takes you, a little longer than you would have expected, perhaps, like because other things are going on. So it takes a couple hours to get out that way because there's miles you have to kind of navigate. But you make it out that direction. So you're in the vicinity of where Penelope was.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
Oh, so what's going on around me? So I imagine I emerge out of an access tunnel into what?
You exit out into a tunnel, or a hallway, just like one of the hallways you're used to at this point. Kind of doing your little skitter, and you don't see anything. Just a normal tunnel. You see like a terminal nearby that is active, but that's not unusual.
Do I need a map at this point to? How compromised am I, or is everything?
So I say it took you this long to get everything up and running, but no, you've got information.
So now everything's working?
Yeah, you've got information back up. You're connected to the network. It's like your systems have rebooted. You're good to go. Okay, can I track anything that Penelope uses to connect to the ship, or like if there's anything that like, I don't know, is Penelope low-jacked, to as far as the ship is concerned? To your understanding, you would normally be able to track Penelope based upon like the pings, right? Like your comm network, but you're not getting anything. Last though, like Penelope, like that last known location. That's where I'm going. Was this terminal that's in front of you, which is why you came out here. Oh, okay. Like you managed to make it to this spot. Like Penelope was jacked into this location. At least last you heard from. Okay, is there an obvious door or chamber that I could extrapolate? It is likely that she went through. No, I mean at this point, like the hallway's extending either direction. There's a corner down, to your left that it's a T-junction that splits both ways. Sort of the opposite direction as well. You're sort of in the middle of a hallway that's branching off and it branches, right? There's nothing in particular that looks like a distinct direction to go. So what am I doing here? Some sort of investigation. Yeah, that sounds appropriate. Is there something along those lines? But there's no investigation. So what is it? Research again? Let me see your character. Because I feel like I'm doing research. I'm like finding clues and following them and trying to figure out what the hell happened. You were sleuthing a little bit. I don't think it's research. Now that I've got this nice fancy book in front of me, I want to check something real fast. I also want to say it depends on what you're doing. Like if you were doing it with a computer, yeah. Huh. Well, I said, are you physically looking around? Yeah, because there's perceive. I mean, that would be something I would say would be. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that. Cool. Well, because I started out by trying to get any electronic signature. Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't anything. So now I'm going to switch to what I can do optically or by sound.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Hold on a second. So first off, actually, like, because you talked about electronically, like in the sense of like trying to ping their location, right?
Right.
Roll me research on that one.
Ooh, missed it by 1.
Ooh, yeah.
Missed it
So
by that
same
much.
response I gave you a moment ago. Then you just to you they don't appear on the network at all. You're like it's odd. So now, yeah, give me a perceive. I'm gonna look up some things while we're doing this.
Oh, and I hit the target number.
Exactly.
Exactly,
You were just
again.
on target. Stay on
Well,
target.
or close.
I mean, close enough. I like that. Let me look up this. Oh man, there's so many pages here. Fantastic. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
You should get you one of those that's like the size of a whole bottle, so you don't have to keep pouring it in.
Oh, like one of those like the brandy snifters
Yeah.
that are the size of like you can put a ball of like
Mm-hmm.
yes, a whole bottle of brandy into my brandy snifter.
Why not? I mean, I just feel like that's saving time.
That's right.
Yeah, pretty accurate. Oh, there we go.
You find it then?
Yeah, I had to grab some dice for reasons you need to worry about.
I'm worried now.
Yeah, you
I
should.
wasn't, but now I'm worried.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's fun, isn't
Thanks for that.
it? I know.
Brown cow?
How now, brown cow.
It used to be my nickname at a job that I worked.
So what did you roll exactly?
60.
Okay. So, and this is you like sort of physically looking around, exploring, looking for clues, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you head up to the like I would say like I'm imagining this little spider bot, right? Like kind of going like going down like the halls and kind of looking and checking, and like at one point you're up on the ceiling and you were just like inside of access ports and bouncing around, and as you pass by the data port, right, the computer terminal, and you're taking a look at it, like you something catches your eye, and what you get out of it is like you see something sticking out of the connection port to like where you would like hard connect into the system. Do you want to look closer?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. As you take a look at it, like it looks really odd. Like so, the end of it that is like not attached. So it's like it looks like something that is a. Well, I'm gonna do some math in my head real fast. 5 to 5-ish centimeters, 5 to 10 centimeters long, as you're approaching it, and it looks like the end that is not connected to like more cylindrical kind of looking, the end that is pointing towards you, is a little like frayed. It looks like there's some wires there. And as you get closer, you see that it is what looks like a finger. That is like the tip of the finger is and it's mechanical, is like plugged into the port, and it looks like it just was sheared off, and there is wires dangling loose from that.
What's the finger? Is the finger stuck in something?
Like imagine like the USB port or the Ethernet, like that kind of equivalent of a.
But it's not connected to anything.
Doesn't seem like it was connected to anything anymore.
Then I'm going to collect it.
Cool. It slides right on out. You just like you're pulling out like a USB, right?
And I put it into a little.
Wait, so it's a finger with like a USB.
It's a machine finger.
Connector?
Yeah, like a machine finger, just kind of with.
Do we recognize this machine finger? I'm gonna let it go. Never mind. Sorry.
You don't.
Sorry.
You don't see it.
I know, not yet.
Do you have questions about the finger, or do you recognize the finger?
Do I recognize the finger?
You recognize, since you were hanging out with Penelope and you're heading towards the engine and stuff in the past, you recognize like that this is how Penelope hard connects into things. It's like through their mechanical finger right in their arm, like connected to
Nice.
something.
Okay.
Whoops.
It definitely looks like this is the finger is supposed to be attached to something else, but it is no longer attached to something else.
Attention, crew. I have found a finger.
This is blast through the loudspeaker.
Oh, come on.
Finger.
It's going Morse code down the
What
the
voice
hallways.
are you using with it? Yes.
Oh, it's the same voice as the
latency?
the PSAI. Yeah.
No, great.
So you were making a I have found a
Ding,
finger.
ding,
If you have lost a finger, please
If
see
you
me.
have lost a finger, please report to the lost and found.
Comms 3, could you report on our private channel right now?
Private.
What is
Have
that?
that roleplay it. Get it.
I find a secure channel between myself and
Well,
Caster.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that
Yes.
too, but it can be like, I just meant sort of all of us, but that's fine. That's fine.
I would have just taken it completely literally.
Great. No, that's perfect.
What can I do for you?
What have you found? Are you at where Penelope was?
I am at Penelope's last known location, and I have found only one of the fingers of the mechanical arm.
Of her, like, grandmother's arm? Like her family arm? Like fancy arm?
I think that's what you call it, yes.
Fancy arm. Better than the meat suit arm.
It's not as fancy
Meat suit arm.
anymore.
Fancy arm.
It was in the port, but not connected to anything on the other side. Now it is inside me.
Unintended consequences.
Shall I bring it back?
Hashtag just RPG things.
Oh, Caster has to collect themselves because they're just
Just hit the wall. Side note, so
Yeah.
you haven't had to think about this. In fact, it just seems natural to you and doesn't even bother you. For you are having to it doesn't affect you on a mechanics level, but on a like just a psychological level, because the ship is now no longer under thrust, but just its rotational gravity. Then leave like the vector that would be like what you would consider gravity in your head is off at a different angle now, just a little bit. So it's more like you're kind of just having to lean into things slightly differently, but it's just enough to like it's off-putting, but it's not.
It's annoying.
It's not hampering. Yeah, it's just like okay, I know this is temporary. So you're kind of like having to like brace yourself, your foot on certain bulkheads occasionally. So it is like you do stumble a little bit. As you
Great.
go, right?
Brace my own head at the thoughts of what's happening.
Yeah. Like oh god, fingers inside where?
I'm sure the maintenance bots have like mag locks on all their
Yeah, which is why you
appendages.
don't even really care about it.
Yeah.
They're designed for like different accelerations, different rotations. They don't care.
So
Right.
quickly, I check in. I say, Caster's like, Comms 3, don't go anywhere yet. Charlie, can you tell me how close I am to Comms 3 right now?
Remind me what you were.
Oh, I would have broadcast my location.
It's probably going really fast.
You see what looks like somebody attached a GoPro to the head of a squirrel.
I went outside. I saw a maintenance spot. He was doing
Spider-Cam.
this.
Well, because it's also like think about so I don't think we've ever for mechanics wise or for the others explained your like high speed processing.
Right.
Could you describe that now that we're in like a physical world more for you like to everybody else?
Yeah. So like in any given like round or whatever, normal human cognition can only process so much information. I'm processing it at like 2 or 3 times that, I think, or I'm
Whatever.
something like that. Just if I were to just talk at my normal cognitive speed, it would be just like a rapid fire, unintelligible rapid fire of language. So I can process a lot of things
I have to
while
dumb myself down for the rest of you. I just want to be really clear.
What's that?
Okay,
You have to dumb
data.
yourself down for the rest of you.
Just slow it down. Like
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So why I say that too is because for you the feed is almost unwatchable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it is, and that's what I meant by like the squirrel piece is like it's frenetic,
Right?
Because it's like they're processing so different than you are, and it is going like.
Also, like I mean, it's that continued thing where in like the hold, Caster could watch a video like that, right? Because it's just like a brain processing power kind of a thing. But like we're having to use meat suit eyeballs to intake this information. It's rough.
See like little spider port come out like kind of connect into the same port.
Yeah, it's like
it's a primary data port. It's
USB X
Yeah.
or whatever, wherever
Sure.
we're at by this point.
Yeah, right.
Info spike.
Yeah.
USB 1.100.
The RoboCop.
Yeah, I think R2D2 has the same thing. It's just like a
See, and I just kept thinking Fifth Element, where it was like.
the little key. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, exactly, something like that.
So yeah, connect in and go for it.
32, target 80.
Not bad. Okay, so you were rolling what again?
Interface.
Interface. Now that I've actually have the book, this is way easier to look things through, and like I'm enjoying this quite a lot.
Good.
Yep. Just to add FYI, interface is about using and understanding computers, electronics, networks, sensors, and systems. So awesome. Yeah, you were absolutely checking into it. Cool. Just making sure we've been doing this right for now. Like I know it's I've been reading through this up, and it's so much easier to like. I like hard copy.
I like hard copy.
Really
I actually
copy.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, I need one of those."
It's so much easier. I don't know, for some reason, like I know it's the same information. I've been reading stuff, but it clicks a little better having something physical.
This also has all of the art.
Says us.
It does.
Says us who are going through this transhuman weird world. Maybe
Right.
there's like physical copies of books. But I do. Speaking of that art, Anyway, you rolled 32 on an 80, so you definitely get it in there. So
That's what she said.
I know it's already happened. So you start accessing, and it since you roll a 32, that's not particularly fast, but it is successful. So you start accessing, and you just see a record of previous logs, right? The last access time. There is, and Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine Penelope, generally speaking, has protocols that are like delete my browser history kind of idea.
Yeah.
I see.
But
not that you're doing anything wrong, but just that level of like, right, just like the
Stop
generally
watching me.
Penelope doesn't leave tracks because that's kind of just.
Well, but Penelope doesn't leave fingers behind either.
I'm not getting wrong. I'm just saying there are automatic pieces that I Penelope
there
has
are
in place.
automatic track coverings, but also Penelope is smart enough in an emergency situation to be like, hey, here's what I like. We'll leave a log that you can read that's not necessarily the full log of what she accessed.
I'm taking this into account for sure. And so what I'm going to say is you see this data. So Penelope last accessed this port, or at least the last time that something was particularly accessed was approximately, I would say, guess I'm trying to say things, I'm not giving anything away in a weird way. Shortly after the acquisition of the Elon, right, where the successful sort of connection, right, everybody was really focused on that. For you've got a whole, you're processing things really fast. You've got a whole timeline of stuff that's going on. So approximately 5 minutes after those odd pressure change anomalies occurred, which was nearby, right? That's when the last sort of data packet went out from Penelope, or request was made. And I would say that we've got roll me an infosec.
Did the pressure fluctuations happen at the same time as the capture of the Elon?
I'm not going to allow you to ask that question.
Cool.
22, Target 80.
Well, your 80s. So what you see, or what you're able to do with InfoSec is basically you go a little bit deeper. I mean, InfoSec is sort of the hacking element, right, of interface. So you first connected, everything worked fine. You're in the network. You're seeing what Penelope is doing, but you see that there's like sort of generic firewalls that
I'm doing
Penelope's put up.
Forensics.
Exactly. You're going a little bit deeper into the list, and what you're able to do is access at least somewhat the camera port that is on in a way.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah. But when Penelope is connected to a data port, if you do a lot of needlecraft, you'll understand that like her left hand is actually like holding tension, and because she's using it to like to regulate data flow.
What else do you say? You see like a pretty heavy shutter with the camera angle a little bit, like which
Like a concussion rocked the entire deck.
yeah, like a concussion rocked the entire deck. You know, not unsurprising from about like the sort of like
That's the
tethering of
time.
the
That's
ship.
the time in which we were under the. That's the stress when the whole when we yanked the net basically.
You check the data time or the data stamp,
Yeah.
and you definitely see that corresponds with your data on that. You know, so this is like, you know, a couple minutes after that weird like flickering of the lights, but like that shutter happens, and then you know 4.5 minutes go by at that point, and then you see another flickering of the lights in that location, and you see Penelope like very quickly look up into her left, and then kind of start reacting, and then the feed cuts to static.
Ooh.
And then you see a monster with a zipper come out.
Oh, it's the outer limits.
Right?
Do not adjust your set. We control the transmission.
So I'm gonna pause there with you for a moment for a couple of reasons. Also, because Ashley is showing up shortly. I'm gonna need to deal with some biological factors shortly. But you were on your way.
Mm-hmm.
As you are cutting through like different parts of the ship, you're kind of like trying to beeline in the best way you can. What is your survival skill in terms of like remembering the map of the ship? And I'm gonna give you bonuses to this, but I would say, what's your survival skills?
Like my actual survival skill, not using other things?
Not using other things.
Okay,
raw.
yeah, it's like 15.
Cool. Do I've got anything else here?
Hey, mine was only 20, but I hit it.
Right. I also still have flex points.
Cool. Yeah.
Wish I had
So
flex points.
I'm gonna give you a
should.
plus 30 to it because you know the ship, right?
Okay.
I mean, like you've been trained. Like, you know, maybe you haven't like, you know, been on it a lot yet for a while now. I mean, you've been on it, right? But you know the ship fairly well.
Right.
And so, like, you know, you've got some bonuses. If you're out in the wild, you might be screwed. But here, this is still happy space. So make me roll.
So a 30 total?
Plus 30 to...
So that's 45.
So you're at 45, yeah.
Okay, cool. Fuck.
Fuck.
70.
Cool. So you are hauling it, and especially after like seeing some of the feed, I'm gonna say that comms 3, unless correct me if you know if I'm wrong here, but you fed through the data that you infosec'd out of there, right? At the very least, like, hey, look at this, right? That I saw.
Yeah.
So you've seen that, and so you're kind of like kicking up your pace. You're like, this seems awkward and weird, and at this point, like you're kind of checking, like at this point, you're checking your own sort of feed, and it's been like 3 or 4 hours since this occurred, and you're like, okay, this feels
Weird. Yeah.
Something's wrong. But in that haste, you're kind of taking some wrong turns, right? You end up not going the direction that you think you're going to go. And you end up closer to one of those spires that are the Actually, no, you don't know near that. Well, I had a different image in mind. You end up through some of the more, sort of like back alleys of, if you will, of the hallways, like heading through different pieces. You're going through like the main barrel of the ship. You are making your way forward and better progress, but you end up in the area towards the cloning tanks, right? Like where like humans are, and you see a person come around the corner. And I'll have Connor take it from here. What does this person look like, Connor?
6 feet tall, sort of generically female, buzzed hair.
What does generically female mean?
Shape.
Yeah.
Like feminine-ish bone structures, but nothing that is like distinctly like huge video game tits or anything like that, right?
Yeah,
like just kind of like more like fine structure.
Their hips there are definitely like small breasts, but the overall shape reads to the human eye at a glance as female rather than male or neuter.
So like Ripley would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ripley is a really good example of generic female.
Cool.
I just automatically thought of Sigourney Weaver when you said 6 feet tall and generically female.
Yeah.
That's what jumped into my head.
She also has like a certain type. It's like a warrior type.
Oh,
it
yeah,
is obviously female, but not
female.
of like
that's a good thing.
soft female.
Also, I feel like that just shows you that you got like
definitely like
brain.
well muscled, but
You're
not like bulky muscle. It's Sigourney Weaver.
But with
Let's
no
just
hair.
go with that. Sigourney, we love you.
From 4.
With shade with
Or no, that's 3.
buzzed hair. Definitely more muscled than Sigourney Weaver. Like very like lean, ropey swimmer, gymnast muscle. Like
So Sigourney Weaver in like Alien 4.
Alien 3 was the shaved head.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I made the same
Alien-
mistake.
But she was like real jacked in the 4th.
That's
one,
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Shaved head. Okay, so hair from 3, jacked from 4.
Yeah. Definitely not holding them, but has 2 batons attached to their wrists that follow her arm bones. And you can clearly see where the handles pop out so that she can hang on to them and then use them to swing. And she looks at Castor and is like, Castor, what are you doing here? The last thing I remember is we were about to port.
Given the small amount of information Castor has at this point, Castor just goes, "Who do you think you are?"
And Penelope.
Great.
And on that note, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
That's really Ashley to get in here.
Okay.
Mini cliffhanger.
No worries.
I love that. That was great. So we're going to come back into this. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back in about 10 to 15 minutes. Go take a look at planets outside if you get a chance.
Do it. It's real pretty right now.
Do whatever biological needs you need to do, because I also need to do that. And so we'll take a quick break. Thank you much.